Welcome back to NitroLandTutorials. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do a comic book effect in Photoshop. This is what the finished product will look like, so let's get started. First we're going to go to File, New. So I do have my image copied to my clipboard with a width of 1920 and a height of 1080. I'm going to change the resolution to 300. So you do want to pay attention to the resolution and the size of the image, as later we're going to apply a filter, a halftone filter, and the sizing of that will really depend on the size and the resolution of your image. So now that you have your new file open, I'm going to hit Command or Control V to paste my image. The first thing I'm going to do is crop my layer just so that it isolates the image of the face. So I'm just going to drag this in, and then after I'm happy with it, going to hit the check mark to finalize it. Next we're going to right click on the layer and go to Duplicate Layer. Click OK. With our bottom layer selected, we're going to go to Filter, Filter Gallery, and then we're going to do Poster Edges. I'm going to keep my edge thickness at 2, and posterization I'm going to have at 2. The higher it is, the more realistic it looks. The lower it is, the more like a hand-drawn cartoon it looks like. So I'm just going to keep it at 2 because I like that look. Then I'm going to click OK. So if we hide our top layer, this is what our bottom layer looks like. The next thing we're going to do is right click on our top layer and go to Convert to Smart Object. This will allow us to add filters to it, but still edit them later without actually having to change the image itself. So we're going to go to Filter, Pixelate, we're going to go to Color Halftone. So with an image this size and this resolution, max radius is of 8, I find to be good. Click OK. And so this is what our image looks like. We're going to go to our blending options, or we're going to do a soft light. So now this is the comic book effect real quick, but we're just going to touch it up and make it look a lot higher quality. First thing we're going to do is add a vibrance to it. We're going to increase the vibrance really high. I'm going to have it at about 91. The saturation you can play with if you want. I'm probably going to turn that up a little bit. You can click this double arrow to hide that editor. And then I'm also going to add a brightness and contrast layer. I'm going to decrease the brightness a little bit and increase the contrast. Again, the double arrow to hide that. And then going down to our original layer, going to double click on that to bring up our layer styles panel. I'm going to add a stroke to this. Going to increase the size a little bit. I'm going to change the position to inside. Going to increase that a little bit more. About like that. And then for the color, you can do either white if you want a crisp white image look, but I'm gonna do a little bit of a gray just so that the halftone that we did earlier shows through a little bit. Click OK on that. And then I'm also gonna add an inner glow. We're gonna bring the opacity all the way up. We're gonna change our blend mode to normal, and then we're gonna change our color to black. Next we're going to bring our choke to 100% and then increase the size to whatever you think looks right. Just adding a little black border in between the image and the white. There we go, something like that. Click OK. And then you can be done here if you like the look of that. I do want to add some text to this. It can be a text bubble or a title. I think I'm going to add a title. So we're going to go to this layer, just so that whenever we create a new text layer, it is on top of the image and not below the half-toned layer. So to do that, I'm going to grab my text icon over here. I'm using Salome font at about 30 size font. Click on the image to start typing. And I'm just going to type comic book. And I'm also going to add a few spaces before book just to offset a little bit. Click the check mark to finalize that. And so now we're going to edit the text so it looks also like a comic book would. So to do this, I'm going to double click on the layer to bring up the layer styles panel again. I'm going to add a stroke to this as well. Increase the size a little bit. I'm going to add a drop shadow. I'm going to have my angle at 120. The spread I'm going to bring all the way up to 100%. I'm going to increase the size a little bit, and then I'm also going to increase the distance. Maybe bring the size at 6% looks good. And you can adjust any of this as you think looks best, but this is what I think looks good. And then I'm also going to add a gradient overlay to this. To edit the colors, click on this color box. It'll bring up a new window. Double click on that drag icon there, and I'm going to change it to a greenish color. Going to do kind of a dark color. Here's the color code if you want to use this color as well. Going to click OK, and then double click on the white dragger tool, and I'm going to do around the same green, except I'm going to do a lot lighter. There we go, something like that. Click OK, and then OK again. And then I'm also going to change the style to reflected, just so that the darker green is in the middle and the light is at the top of comic and also at the bottom of book. And then click OK on that. I'm going to reposition this to how I want it. You can hit Command or Control T to resize the font or rotate it. I'm probably going to rotate it a bit. Hit Enter or the check mark up here to finalize it. And then just like we did for the comic book, I'm going to do the same process for the text, just so that it has the comic book effect. So to do that again, you're just going to right click, duplicate the layer, click OK, and then right click, convert to smart object, and then go to filter, pixelate, color halftone. And then for this one, I'm going to have the max radius at 5 instead of 8, just because the text is a little bit smaller than the picture was. Click OK, and then the blending options to soft light. Finally, I do want my text to stand out a little bit, so we're going to select the bottom text layer. You can hold Command or Control as you click the new layer icon. This will add a new layer underneath the text layer. And then also holding Command or Control, selecting the text layer will make a selection around the text. And you can go to Select, Modify, Expand, and then I'm going to expand this by about 50 pixels. Click OK. So now our selection is really big, but it still has the same outlines as the text did. Next, I'm going to grab my paint bucket tool with white selected. I'm just going to click in there, and then Command or Control D will deselect. And then I'm going to go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And then I'm going to have that at about 53 pixels. Click OK. And then you can also lower the opacity a little bit if you want, just so that it's not as vibrant. So there you have it. There's the finished comic book effect from a picture. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, comment below what you want to see next, and subscribe for more.